Powered by Go Goat Sports in partnership with TSN. It is season 4, episode 24 of the Ryan Dregs Hockey Podcast, and it is presented by our title sponsor, Canadian Club Whiskey. And if you're following us on the YouTube channel, you'll see me point, right? I'm now pointing. There it is. The Canadian Club 45-year-old end of the Chronicle series.
My question about that is, is it in the box or is it partly in your belly?
No, hold on. Okay. I'll try and do play-by-play as I describe this. I'm now opening what is a beautiful black Canadian Club Chronicle Series box. And you've already probably opened yours, right?
It's not sampled, but look at that beauty. Look at it.
Isn't that spectacular packaging? I mean, we're gushing now, and that's kind of what we do, but it's worth it because I just received it yesterday. So I'm very excited.
Is young Mason Drager home from school yet?
He is.
Has he got his hooks or sights on that yet?
Not yet. He's actually going to Jamaica on Sunday morning. So he's trying to keep himself as clean as he can before getting there. However, we are getting company. This is Friday. On Saturday, I'm just trying to decide whether I crack it for company or not.
Are they worthy? Are they worthy?
His girlfriend's
You remember the
parents.
old Seinfeld episode? Elaine had to decide whether guys were sponge worthy or not.
She only had 6 or 8 sponges, something like that.
Yeah, she was being pretty discriminating. I think Putty made it in, but
Putty,
the big Devils
still
fan.
Go to all the Devils games. Yeah, absolutely.
Got to support the team.
Track him down at some point the way the Devils are playing. So, how about this? Did the Leafs and the New York Rangers some studio last night, and Vancouver's had its share of inclement weather. I would say some snow the last month or so. So we get hit with a storm, and being from the prairies, this stuff doesn't normally bug me, and it didn't really bug me. It took me 10 extra minutes to drive into work. Driving home post-game, I'm lazy when it comes to cleaning off the truck, Ray. I'm just lazy. And it's that heavy, wet snow, so I just kind of pushed it off the windshield. It's negligence because it's also dangerous when you're driving. Stuff is flying off your vehicle, and, I was feeling bad. So I'm on the 401, middle lane. I'm bucking it about 90 kilometers per hour because it was kind of blizzarding. All of a sudden, I see brake lights in front of me. I don't have to slam on the brakes. I just have to slow down. As I slow down, all of the snow from the roof of my truck slides down onto the windshield. My wipers aren't working. They can't work
too heavy
because the snow is too heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of the 401. It's not like you can pull over to the side of the highway and clean off the snow. So here's what I did. I mean, thank God nobody was in the truck with me. I rolled down the passenger window, and that's how I drove for the next 15 minutes, looking sideways. And I knew that as long as I stayed close to the Stone Meridian, that eventually I'd come to an exit. And that's what I had to do for 15 minutes.
My son Riley is going to turn 16 on December 30th.
Yeah.
Remind me not to send him to you for a lesson.
I'm an excellent driver. I'm just lazy when it comes to clearing off snow. Jeez.
Okay, so I don't want to say in Vancouver we have, substandard snow removal stuff, but we have substandard snow removal stuff. We don't get much snow. So I've got this, the long scraper with the brush.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago it snowed, it iced up. So I've got this thing that I bought at, I don't know, the dollar store for 99 cents or whatever it is. So I go to scrape.
It worked for 10 seconds?
I don't even think I got 3 scrapes and the thing folded in half. And so you may have noticed I'm not very tall. So I could only reach so far across there. And then I'm back to using my credit card.
Yeah.
Just pathetic. But you pulled it off though, eh? The driving?
I pulled it off. Like I eventually found an exit. Then I did a better job of clearing off the snow. But, a few years back when we started the podcast, we maybe it was 2 years ago, but we used to do the throat punch segment. You
Yeah,
remember I throat punched the plow driver because he locked me in. That happened again this morning. Again, the heavy wet snow. It took me 2 hours to clear my driveway, and I just looked out now, and I've got another 3-foot ridge. So I'm a little grumpy right now.
Okay, I'm going to give you one thing to
Surly.
make you. I'm going to give you one thing that'll make you smile before we get to headlines to take away your grumpiness.
Okay.
So this morning I go to feed Ollie the dog.
Yeah.
And so in our pantry, there's a little tiny sink that we kind of clean the food in, so it's not in a regular sink. So I'm too lazy to walk around to the front of the sink, so I'm doing it from the side. Unfortunately, the cabinet in there is right about 5'9.5", which I slide right underneath. And when I stood up, I'm like,
Caboose.
I hear it. I hear the cabinet pierce my head.
Oh, no.
This thing, like, I'm blood pouring down my face.
Oh, no.
So my son, Matt, happens to walk in. I'm like, and he's like, what the hell happened to you? And I go, hey, do I need stitches? And he looks and he's like,
It's close.
Probably not. And then so it stops bleeding and he gets a little of that, jelly or whatever, sticks it on there. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. He goes, it's not going to ruin your hair. But so I was bleeding all over the kitchen. Like if the kids were here, they would have walked around the corner. Reese, the younger guy, would have, he would have hit the deck. But anyway, I knew you'd get an enjoyment out of that.
Well, you did. And real quick, we got to get moving. But another bizarre experience with James Duthie on the Ryan Reaves, Pierre LeBrun podcast earlier today. Got your back. Duthie is part of the conversation roundtable. And you can see his little dog. I think it's like a French Terrier or something like that. And the poor dog's lame. It's an old dog. It can't move its hind legs. You see the dog in the leather chair behind James taking a crunch on the chair. We had to pause the episode. You got to see it. I'm sure it'll be posted. Rashad for sure will post it. So we had to pause so that James could go pick up the doggy doo-doo. So there you go. How about this segue? We're joined today by Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour, who will have none of the shenanigans when he joins us later in the podcast. But one of the good teams in the NHL, that division is really heating up, right? The Metro with the Hurricanes.
Best division in hockey right now.
Oh, well, right now, you're right, with Pittsburgh and the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils have been really good, stumbling a little bit of late, but I mean, it's just a mild setback for the Devils. So look forward to visiting with Rod Brind'Amour in episode 24. Headlines again this season, presented by our good friends at Boston Pizza. And why don't we start with that Metro division, right? Got the Rangers clipping along. That's 5 straight wins after beating the Leafs last night. And apparently, Ray, the fire Gallant chants have now stopped. He's okay, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but they haven't got to like they did in New Jersey where they were saying sorry to Lindy Ruff.
Sorry, Lindy.
So, but it is amazing, though. Like a couple of things have happened in the, Shesterkin is kind of steadied himself.
Yeah.
They're getting really good production, again, from Filip Hronek, who in the last, 6 or 8 months has really taken a jump forward.
He was good last
Kako
night.
started to score a couple of goals. He got one last night again. Lafreniere is kind of found his way. And really what happened is they put those 3 kids back together a little bit more frequently. And sometimes, as much as you'd like to spread your lines around a little bit, certain guys just work well together. So the Rangers won 5 straight. That was a good game.
It was a good game.
They did a really good job on Toronto. There wasn't much for the Leafs there. There was one time in the second period, I'm sure you guys had a clock on it. The Leafs were in the zone for, was it 5 minutes?
Well, it was Braden Snyder was stuck out there, the defenseman for the Rangers, for 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Like, he needed full-on oxygen when he finally cleared the zone.
And then, and they weren't able to score. And, both teams really didn't have a lot of chances. Marner really only the one great chance late. And Shesterkin stopped him. So his 32-point, 23-game streak is over, which was just an astounding accomplishment, and for the Leafs too. Like we're talking about the Rangers, this league has turned into a league of streaks here, Dregs.
It has.
Like the Blues lost 8 in a row, then they won 7 in a row. The Devils had that great start. The Bruins won their first 14 games at home. The Vegas was way out in the streak. The Leafs were 12-0-3 till last night.
Mm-hmm.
The Rangers now have won 5 straight. It's like the parity, I think, means you're gonna have teams that go on really great runs, and then there are going to be times when you just flatten out and everybody takes advantage of your flat spot. Like the Penguins now, all of a sudden, they're another one of those teams.
How do you even describe what's going on there? I mean, it's phenomenal. Chris Letang is announced, a couple of weeks ago by the Penguins. He suffered his second stroke dating back to 2014. And, the news was progressive. It was good. The doctors did a nice job. And obviously they're not letting him back into the league until he's healthy and ready. So he's back in the league. He scores. He's got 2 points as the Penguins beat Florida, earning their 7th straight. So it's just a little bit of everything going the Pens' way these days.
Well, it is, and you can't win without it. And Tristan Jarry struggled at the start of the year, and now I think he's on a 12-game win point streak that Jarry's on. He is. I mean, let's face it. He has to be. What is it? He's 10-0-1. 10-0-1 streak right now for Jarry. So they're getting the goaltending. Crosby and Malkin are on a good run. Malkin has really been quite productive since the first couple of weeks of the season. Crosby's 35 years old. Like it one time, like we're going to not take it for granted that he's going to be one of the best players in the league, but he still is. Yeah. And so now the Pens are in a far different spot, and it looks like that division is going to be a slugfest. Right.
It does.
And it makes me wonder about, like, can the Devils hang on? Like that great start. I'm just looking now. They're 4 points in front of Carolina and Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. All that work, you're 4 points ahead. You're no one.
Let's go to Edmonton. All right. We saw that was a fun game too. I didn't watch all of it. We were just cleaning up the mess after the Rangers and the Leafs last night. So I watched when I finally got home. But, Connor McDavid was grumpy after that game, a shootout loss, I should say, to the St. Louis Blues. He was called, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's made its rounds. And if you haven't, I'm talking about anybody listening or watching. He was called offside in overtime, which disallowed the Leon Draisaitl, what would have been a game-winning goal. The Situation Room in Toronto determined that Connor didn't have possession of the puck. So I'm going to read his quote, and then I want you to weigh in on this, Ray. Because I do understand star players' frustration, not just in this case McDavid. McDavid post-game says, quote, "The league has got to clarify some of these rules. What's a kick? What's offside? What's goalie interference? It kind of depends on the night, I guess," says Connor McDavid. So again, heat of the moment stuff, right? Like that game got away from them. They felt like they deserved a better outcome. I guess the one thing that I would question, and full disclosure, I did not talk to the Situation Room last night, and I haven't reached out today. But when I'm looking at that video, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, if that puck is anywhere in the vicinity, 2 feet of Connor McDavid, or 2 feet from his stick, isn't possession kind of assumed? Or did you see that there was a lack of control and they got it right?
No, to me, the play boiled down to one thing, and that's as McDavid goes over the line, he doesn't have the puck on his stick, right? It's in that bubble zone as you talk about.
Yeah.
He makes contact. His stick makes contact with the Blues defenseman's stick. Mm-hmm. How could he have possession if he's got contact with the Blues player's stick? So
and that's key. Yeah.
To me, that's key. And this is the problem. Yeah. This is the problem with trying to, we all want the consistency. It drives us all crazy. Same thing with the goalie interference. The goalie interference is even more difficult because that becomes even more of a judgment. Mm-hmm. But the Makar play last year and the McDavid play this year, they're similar, but they're not the same.
Right.
Like in my view, I can see that. Like as soon as he makes contact with his stick, I'm like, yeah, he doesn't have possession.
Yeah.
Because he's stick battling with the Blues player, even if it's just for a second. That you can't say, oh, but a half a second later doesn't matter.
Doesn't work. No.
They fixed this offside rule. They killed an ant with a sledgehammer.
No.
And from when Matt Duchene was 15 or 20 feet offside and they somehow missed it, and we got into this quagmire of the offside rule. Used to be the simplest rule ever.
Yeah.
Used to be simple.
Yeah.
And then it was, skate in the air, break the plane.
No, I know.
Now I don't know. So I totally get and sympathize with McDavid. Totally get it. But it's not just the star players. It's every player. Dregs, I told you this. I think I told this story on the podcast. One year they had switched from tag up offside to when you couldn't tag up offside. And we shot the puck in. It was in an exhibition game. Somebody shoots the puck in, and the whole bench is yelling, offside, offside. And the linesman turns around and is like, guys, we changed that rule in the summer. And we're like, oh, we didn't know. Like, you think you know, but you don't.
Yeah. Well, one thing for sure, whether it's Mike Murphy, Colin Campbell in hockey ops, or Stephen Wacom with officiating, heat of the moment, okay, they don't have access directly with Connor McDavid. I guarantee you, if McDavid wanted a better explanation or wanted to go painstakingly through the rule book with all three of the issues that he raised, those men would happily take that call and explain it to McDavid. So it's just when a voice like that speaks, the world listens, right?
Sure, it carries weight.
Game.
Dregs, I've said this before. I would love the league to take the rule book, put a committee together, start at page 1, and streamline the rules so more people can understand them. Because I think they've gotten rather complicated for most players, coaches, and certainly the fans. So why not simplify it?
Yeah, I may have heard from some NHL people that you were badgering during the broadcast meetings prior to the start of the year. You were peppering with a lot of questions and stirring up trouble and trying to...
Not a lot of questions, just one really direct one. Hey, why don't you fix the rule book so everybody could understand it? That's really, to me, it's like... I don't care.
It got to be pretty quick.
I'm sure it did. So say it takes 6 months to do it. Yeah. Who cares? Say like you started it now, this committee of retired officials and player, like a recently retired players and coaches, and you came through the rule book and you presented it, and it starts for next year or the year after. Yeah. Why say the game's great and we never want to improve it? Keep trying to improve it. Why not?
Well, speaking of the rule book, we have seen some pretty big hits this year. You don't see them every game, right? You don't. And maybe that's why they become such a spectacle. There was one earlier this week with Ryan Reaves. Man, it was just a big, nasty hit. Ooh. And then before that, you had, Jacob Trouba went over Anthony Athanasiou of the Chicago Blackhawks. And, Trouba has a bit of a history of that. But I'm not trying to paint the picture of these being dirty plays, because they're not. I mean, they're deemed illegal. The Reaves hit was legal, but yet it draws the ire of many, mostly media, some player agents, but many. So are you good with the way it stands, or would you like to see a penalty where any head contact is a 2-minute minor, and then it elevates from there depending on, the lateness of the hit, all of that stuff? Or are we just, the physicality for the most part has been largely ruled out of the game right now? Does it need to be further pushed out?
I don't know what possible illegality Ryan Reaves committed on that hit.
Yeah.
And Dregs, I mean, we've talked about this and been through this a lot. I am way more on the safety of the game than the aggression of the game. I'm far preferable to any head contact being a penalty. However, it's not that simple. Like, what happens if, when you say any head contact, so what happens if Ryan Reaves, who's much bigger than Filip Hronek, makes contact, it's body, and at the end of it, is because of his size, there's head contact.
Right.
Can you take that completely out of the game? And if you do, are you essentially eliminating the physical part of the game?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, is that what you really want to do? Now, the biggest part of the problem with that hit, two things for me. One is Hronek didn't expect it. Like he just, clearly the players don't expect to be hit in the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Because of the way the rules have changed. And I think that's kind of a good thing. It takes away the most dangerous hits next to the 3 feet around the boards. Yeah. The second part is Ryan Reaves weighs about 235 pounds. He's 40 pounds heavier than Filip Hronek. He went over him like a speed bump.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hit once like that by Mike Greer. He hit me in Edmonton. And I'm telling you, he didn't even slow down.
Yeah.
It was a demolition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I felt of that hit. Yet I don't think the hit's illegal. There are some that will, any hit like that, any noise hit, any big hit they want out of the game. I just think if you want there to be physicality in the game, you're going to have a really tough time drawing a black and white line. This is bad, this is good, to those hits.
All right. Well, we have one more item here on headlines, and I think we have time for it. And then we'll get to Rod Brindamore from the Carolina Hurricanes. It wasn't on the agenda at the Board of Governors meetings earlier this week in Florida, but it always surfaces at the Board of Governors meetings, and that's the question about a play-in or an extended playoff. I had that conversation with a bunch of governors. Luc Robitaille, the LA Kings, comes to mind. So many of them, the vast majority, are in favor of expanded playoffs and maybe the play-in, because it creates more of a spectacle for the NHL. The entertainment is there, etc. I'm curious as to why Commissioner Bettman has the final say in that. I know it's brought up even with the executive committee, right? The smaller group before it gets to the larger group. And then they kind of whittle out what they want to take to the larger group. I mean, at the end of the day, why wouldn't these owners recognize the marketing value of something like that, the entertainment aspect of it that time of the year when things are ratcheting up, and say, sorry, Gary, no different than video review. Bettman warned everyone video review is going to be a bad idea. Maybe he's right in hindsight, but in this case, it surprised the commissioner has the final say, not the owners of the NHL clubs.
I'm quite surprised with it. I mean, let's be honest. Gary Bettman works for the owners. It's not the other way around. The owners don't work for him. Here's a major difference. Do I like what?
The play-in or an expanded playoff process.
Okay, expanded playoffs, no. Play-in, yes. So I was going to just give this example. So when we went to the sport, went to video review, there was no real playbook as to what that might look like because it was all new.
Yeah.
Right? It was all new.
In hockey,
Yes, and each sport can't be the same. Basketball takes advantage or takes control of the clock in the last 2 minutes, and football's got all these different protocols. Hockey had to build their protocols. Here's the crazy part. The league doesn't even have to think about it. They just have to look. Because in almost every league in Europe, they have this play-in. Now, of course, I'm following Landon in the DEL, the German league. Dregs, I'm telling you, in each conference, they could do the same thing that they do in the league in Germany. Top 8 teams, or rather, top 2 teams, the division winners get a bye. Right? So they're in.
Yeah.
They get a bye through the first round. Teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 get home court advantage. They get the home ice advantage. Or rather, teams 3, I'm going to screw this up. Teams 3 and 4 get home ice. Teams 5 and 6 get the next 2 slots. 7, 8, 9, 10 play a 2 out of 3 series to become the bottom 2 seeds. Okay, so if you think of it this way, the last 2 months of the season, there's like 4 playoff races going on. Your team's trying to get 1 or 2 so they can get a bye. They're trying to get 3 or 4 so they can get home ice advantage. Then they're trying to get 5 or 6 so they don't fall into that 2 out of 3 playoffs for 7 to 10. Then the team's 11 and 12. They're trying to fight to get into the 7 to 10 playoffs. There's all this chaos going on, which is nothing but interest and revenue for the leagues. And here, you cannot sell me that, a team that's out of the playoffs, the 12th seed, they're going to knock off the first seed and then they're going to win 4 rounds and win the Stanley Cup. It's not likely going to happen. Hey, the Kings won as the 8th seed. Were they not deserving? You have to play hockey for 2 months to win.
Yeah.
I am flabbergasted this doesn't get more play. Like I can't even begin to think of a negative spot.
Yeah.
Other than, hey, we've never seen it before and we don't want to try something different. That's it. Change is difficult.
Well,
I get it.
They being those who support it need to be more vocal in public about why they support it. Right. And that means you're likely going to get a call or an email or a text message from the commissioner of the league saying, stop talking about this because it's not going to happen. Well, why isn't it going to happen? It's good for the sport. I think that's the frustrating part from the powers that be in some of the head offices.
Again, the league's in great shape. The league's doing great. Why can't it be better? It always can be. Let's just find which way this can be looked upon in a quasi-experimental fashion, although they've already got real-time, real-life examples of how it works.
Yeah. Those are your headlines. Thanks again to Boston Pizza.